And for how long have you been trading in general?
So I got involved initially the first time round in 2007, but we were just too stupid to give up. So you just keep going.
Did you notice any difference between the way ICT taught you to trade and the way that I taught you to trade?
You seem to have a more structured approach. Like your methodology seemed to be very repetitive. It was always the same thing over and over and over.
Hello everyone, I hope that you are doing well. Welcome to this new student interview. During this interview, I will be speaking to Nico. Nico, how are you doing, brother?
I'm very well, Frank.
I'm glad to hear that. Are you excited for today's interview?
I am very excited, yes.
That's good to hear. We've known each other for quite some time now. For how long have you been involved in my mentorship?
So, yes, that is true. And I am impressed by your memory because I know you probably come across quite a few different people and you remembered me. So, yeah, impressed. I've been in, you came onto the scene a while back and you stood out for good reason, right? Then you started the time and price mentorship. So I've been in that for about a year and a half, some great content. And then the opportunity came up for obviously TMU. And I ran at the opportunity to join that. So been involved with your teachings for, I'd say, about a year and a half.
That's amazing to hear. And for how long have you been trading in general?
So I'll give you the background to all of this. My career has been IT. So I've always spent a lot of time behind screens and behind computers. And I think a lot of IT people watching this will laugh because everybody thinks we don't do anything. Now, the reality is when everything is working, it's fine. We have a lot of spare time on our hands. So I had a job and was going through a period where I had a lot of free time on my hands and I got really bored at work and I was like, I need something else to do to keep me busy. And I thought, what am I trading? So I got involved initially the first time round in 2007. And what I didn't know at the time was that this was just before the financial crisis, by the way, is that we were in a really strong bull run. And this was all new to me. I had no idea what I was doing, but I had a lot of luck when I started out. Everything I touched turned to gold. I thought that I was born to do this. I was going to write a book. This was my calling. And unfortunately, that ran out of steam fairly quickly when the financial crisis kicked in. And I realized that, hang on a second, I need to take a step back here because there's more going on here than I am aware of.
How did you navigate that crisis?
Not very well, to be honest, but I realized that by this stage, I'd actually made quite a bit of money. This has been pretty much consistent week after week. When the financial crisis kicked in, realized that I was out of my depths. I was started to lose money quite quickly.
Was it because you had poor investments or?
I had changed what I was doing. But that wouldn't have made a difference because I moved on from initially trading equities to trading the indices.
Okay.
And but again, this wouldn't have mattered what I traded. Everything went down, so I would have lost money across the board. But I was mature enough to realize that I was out of my depths to take the losses that I had taken and move to the sideline and keep whatever else I had left. Because if I didn't, I would have lost it all. I had a relationship on and off with trading for a while. I think in 2009, this is all pretty much based around retail concepts, whatever I could find online. But in 2009, did this for a living for a couple of months. I think it was about 7 or 8 months, and consistently made money month in and month out for, I think it was the 6 or 7 months. And then took one really big hit on something that was unexpected, which wiped out my last 6 months worth of everything that I've made. And then again, after that, had an on-off relationship with trading for a while.
Was that something within the markets or was it something in your personal life?
So the reason I took that big hit was, this is post-financial crisis now. Yeah. It's January and Obama had come out and said, and I was long at this stage. I think it was mid-month or towards the end of Jan, and Obama had come out and effectively said that they are putting restrictions on all the investment banks and how much risk exposure they can have at any given time. And that really sent shockwaves through these markets. And I got caught on the wrong side of that. And that was a big hit. And then that kind of rocked me to the point where it was on, off, nothing really
Yeah.
serious. And then got to the point where I realized I was just spending far too much time trying to do this without really understanding what I was doing. And I was just effectively wasting time. So I walked away from it. And then in 2021, I met somebody who reignited that passion for me.
Okay.
And again, all just retail concepts.
Was that someone you met face to face, or was that someone you met through social media, or?
That was somebody that was involved with a friend of mine, and he mentioned, I've got this friend of mine, he's really young, he trades for a living, he does really well. So I was like, oh, really? So I got his number and we started chatting, and he kind of reignited that passion for me. And then at this stage, I was kind of fully back into the swing of, I'm going to do this again, because I'm really passionate about it. I'm very fortunate that I'm one of these people that, if I put my mind to something and I'm passionate about it, I get completely lost in it.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it that much that it's
laser focus.
Yes, absolutely. And this is where it gets really interesting, because I was doing my thing and kind of, ticking along. And the same guy kept saying to me, join Twitter. And I was involved in so much social media at that point that I didn't want any more distractions. And eventually said to me one day, look, but I've been telling you for months now, there's a lot of really good content on Twitter. Join, you're not going to regret it. So I said, okay, you've been telling me long enough, let me do this. So I joined up and obviously selected finance as the one thing that I wanted to follow.
Yeah.
And I saw ICT pop up everywhere. I was like, who's this guy? Why is he popping up everywhere? So I clicked onto his profile, I had a look, and he had just posted a trade, and I've never in my life seen anything like this before, where he was putting the annotations, what price is, what it's just done, what it's going to do, and then he put the big green candles incoming, and it's almost like he was walking price on a leash, and my jaw dropped. I was like, this is insane. I've never seen anything like this before. And just the way that I'm wired, I was like, I cannot rest until I figure out how to do this. I need to understand how to do this. And it really rocked my mind. For days, I couldn't focus. And then it was 2 or 3 days later that he actually stated that, this was in December, by the way, December 2021, and then stated that he was going to be doing his free mentorship starting Feb 2022. And I was just like, wow, what are the odds of that? And anyway, fast forward, everything was just so new and different, and it's a whole new language you got to learn. But, if you've got the motivation and the drive, you just kind of get stuck into it all. But fast forward through with all the ICT stuff, I think a lot of the same journey that a lot of people have is that you kind of get lost into it. There's a lot going on. There's just...
Would you say it was too much for you to comprehend, even though you're a smart guy? There were too many different moving pieces, so to say?
It's quite funny. Looking back at it now, I think that there were a lot of moving pieces, but I took it and I tried to do my own thing with it. Like looking back at it right now, I think if I just focused on what he was saying and did it the way that he said to do it, I would have progressed a lot further. And it's quite funny because I've obviously been thinking about what we would discuss in this interview, and I think the biggest mistake I made initially was focusing far too much on the 1 minute chart, looking at the way that he traded and thinking that that's the way that I have to do it in the 1 minute chart. But as he stated, he has 4 screens. He's focusing on the higher time frame. He's just executing on the 1 minute time frame. And I got so drawn into the 1 minute time frame, and every small fluctuation, it's time to go, and it's so easy to get lost in it all. So had mixed results. I think what we're all looking for as traders is that consistency, and I had some of it, and then at times not. It was consistently inconsistent.
That's a very hard place to be at, of course, because on one hand you're super driven to keep on moving forward, but still it feels like you're hitting that wall again and again and again. And
it's soul destroying. And like anybody that is successful in this industry, like I'm really one of these people. I respect anyone in this industry that has done well, irrelevant of how you do it, right?
Exactly.
Because the highs and lows are so brutal. The highs are incredible and the lows are so soul destroying. But we're just too stupid to give up. So you just keep going.
But is it stupid, or is it that we know that we can achieve it?
100%. Absolutely.
I think when you speak to people outside of the industry, Nico, they would be like, man, you've been trading since 2007 and you're still at it. Many people look at that as, oh, what's this type of fool, right? But traders respect that. Why? Because
Absolutely.
it shows that you have the consistency and the discipline to just keep on showing up every single day,
Failure is not an
every
option.
single week.
Failure is not an option.
That's what I mean. Honestly, what an amazing journey it has been, moving from basically a very long break between 2009 to 2021. That's a long time that you didn't touch the markets at all. And then getting back into trading and immediately coming across ICT. That's a blessing, brother. And
it really was. It really was. Because if I didn't, I'm sure that if I was still involved at this stage, would still be not far off from where I was before.
Yeah, exactly. How did that transition go from coming across ICT, studying his content, to actually coming across my content? What did that period look like?
Well, you were doing what he was doing. And so, I mean, it's obvious. I think for anybody that was coming across your content, I mean, you have a really big following yourself, right? For anyone that came across your content, it became very clear that this guy knows what he's doing very clearly. Having studied your content, you've been very clear, you've been precise, a lot of very useful stuff. But again, I mean, we're here to talk about TMU, right? And that is just, you know, a piece of the puzzle that puts it all together.
How long did it take for you to study ICT's content and to eventually get introduced to Susie? Was that a few months? Was that a few years?
Well, it's quite interesting because you know, you have these trading groups and you're talking to other traders, and I met a couple of youngsters. I can't remember how. The one guy put me onto you. He's like, you got to follow this guy. He's really young, but he's really good. And that was my initial introduction. So I started to follow you on Twitter, and then that's obviously my link to you. But then seeing what you were doing, it became very clear that the guy is on form. And you know what, I've seen some of the other interviews, and there were people that have reached out to you, like Jamie, like Ori, and I scratch my head, and it bothers me that I never did that. Like, why did I never reach out to you back then? Anyway.
But the thing is, Nico, now that we're speaking, that connection is being established, and you can always reach out to me now. No problem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know that. Thank you.
But what an amazing ride it has been. When you got introduced to my concepts, how was that for you? Because you, of course, was introduced to ICT's concepts. Did you notice any difference between the way ICT taught you to trade and the way that I taught you to trade? Or was it all the same?
It's an interesting question. You seem to have a more structured approach. Like, your methodology seemed to be very repetitive. It was always the same thing over and over and over. And I know that right at the end, I think, of the 2022 mentorship, that's when Michael had come forward with the way that he trades and the market maker models and all the rest. But that's something that you had been driving all along. For you, it has the way that you teach and have taught, and your content, that is all driven down the same routes.
Yeah.
Like, there's a very clear narrative.
Was that boring to you?
No.
Why not?
No. Well, because it's logical and it repeats over and over again. And the one thing that I think has really hit home is, even with Michael, he would say this over and over again. When you get to the point where it is so repetitive that it's boring, you know that you've arrived. Exactly. So that's something that I've always remembered and have strived to try to get to.
Yeah. Would you say that you're now at the stage where it's boring, or is it still exciting when you make an analysis?
It's still exciting. It is, but the repetitiveness is jumping out at me. Like, it is the same thing. And it's quite funny because there is the saying that everybody says that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And over the past, weeks, 2-3 months, like, I've seen it and you can't unsee it now. And it's crazy because there's so much time and effort that it goes into this. Again, we touched on how driven you have to be to get to these points as a trader, right? And it is so exciting as a 46-year-old male. So I'm further on in my journey, right? But to know that this stuff repeats the way that it does and that you can see it every single day, and I'll be doing this till the day that I die. Is so exciting, man. So
I
for me,
love
it's
that
still very
mentality.
exciting.
Yeah, of course. But I love that you recognize the repetitiveness in everything, because that's it. Every single day, the process should be exactly the same. Every single week, the steps should be exactly the same.
That coming back to your teachings, that's the one thing that you do. So
Yeah,
like having like I go back and think about what the way that you've tried to teach has been very consistent. It's
yeah,
not been this, and I introduced in that, and this is new.
yeah.
It's always been the same.
But it's always built around the same repeating things. And for some
Absolutely.
people, they might look at that and they might think to themselves, why is this guy always saying the same? Why is this so boring to watch, etc.? But it's like, do you need to, come up
This
with
is
new
it.
stuff simply to make it
This is
exciting?
it.
No, real trading is boring. And
Absolutely.
especially when you come to the source code, it's like, this is simply how these high frequency trading algorithms move. Time and price, again and again.
And it's quite funny, and I'm not going to get into too much detail about this, but I discovered something just before I found Michael. I discovered something which effectively, if done correctly, allowed me to get what the daily high and low would be, and that's played a very big part in how I would trade. But again, it's something I was consistently inconsistent with. When it worked and I did it right, it was great. But the one thing that it taught me was I already had the belief that these markets are predetermined. So before I found Michael, I already wholeheartedly believed, like I could see it, that they were predetermined. So when I met Mike, when I came across his content and he was like, oh, there's an algorithm, and the fact that he's got to try to get people to buy into that idea. For me, it was already, I've already seen evidence of that. So for me, it's like a natural.
And that's why you developed so quickly, because you already had the right paradigm. And then when you have that paradigm and you look into the charts, it's like, it's literally there, hidden in plain sight. And so few people are willing to take their blinders off, because they keep on holding on to that, what has been taught in schools, what their family members have taught to them, friends or people at work, whatever. But when you just objectively look at these if this and that statements again and again, there's no way that you can believe that these markets are random.
Absolutely, 100%, no doubt.
But what an amazing realization that must have been, that you knew it was rigged, and then you began to see how it was rigged. And I assume that when you watched that first lecture of TMU, then it was full circle moment, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, through the introduction or speaking to Daniel, who was my link in.
So we just walked into a small technical issue where Nico's camera, I believe, shut off. But no problem.
Unfortunately. So yes, my link was Daniel, and he kept alluding to the fact that you remove the subjectiveness to it all, and the one thing that stood out to me was that what you were doing was just on a different level, and the other thing that stood out to me, and looking back at it now, it makes perfect sense why. When you would do your teachings, you'd always put point of interest, but there was never really any clear indication as to what they were. And I wondered why that was. And now obviously joining TMU, that becomes very clear in the first video. Like everything gets given to you within the first few minutes, and it's like, okay, wow. And it really does.
Mind-blowing, isn't it?
It is. It completely changes how you see it all.
Imagine, Nico, if you would have been given this information back in 2007.
Wow. And it's funny you say that, because my coach was Nikolai, and what a nice guy. I really enjoyed that
as well.
Yeah, great guy. His knowledge was good. Good trader. Just really enjoyed working with him and learning from him. But we were joking about how we've just finished the 3-month program, and how the change and the consistency is already there, and how what it's going to look like in the next 3 months, and the next 6 months, and the next 2 years, and in 5 years' time. Like, just it's going to just go from strength to strength, and to know that that's what your future looks like.
Then it will get boring as well, Nico, because then it will just be repetition, repetition, repetition. Because let me ask you this question, Nico. Yes. Do you feel like there's anything out there, yes, that you could come across that is more precise than that what you know now?
No. I mean, the stuff that I've come across, yeah, I don't know what does exist out there or doesn't. What I know from my perspective is that I'm very happy to be where I am right now.
How would you describe that feeling?
You know what? You asked if I'm still excited. I'm still very excited because this to me is still very new. You know, I've just finished the program less than a week ago. It was last week, Tuesday was my last coaching call. And the repetition, as we spoke about, has become clear. And just to know that having this information is going to be available to me every day, and to know what is still to come from all of this is just such an exciting journey.
That's amazing to hear. Because if you keep that in the back of your mind, man, oh man, like you're going places, and I think you know it as well.
Oh, absolutely. I'm exceptionally driven. As I mentioned earlier on, like I'm almost like a dog with a bone. If I get an idea in my head, I cannot let go of it. And I enjoy this. I really love it. And it can change your life in ways unimaginable. And to know that that is what is right in front of me is just such a great, great feeling.
That's amazing to hear, man. I must like congratulate you as well for the fact that you had the perseverance to keep on moving forward. Because think about how many people would have just thrown in the towel, right? If they would have been hit with such a big financial loss like you did in 2008.
Yes. I've always had a passion for financial markets. I find it interesting. There's so much around the globe that is driven by all of this information and data, and it's just such an interesting topic. So for me, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely. I think a lot of people step into this arena, get beat up, and walk away. And as I said, you know, failure wasn't an option.
What was the internal drive? Was it purely the drive to figure this out, or was there more behind it?
It's a really good question. You know what? And I'd be lying if I didn't say that the financial gain is just unlike anything out there, right? As you know, I mean, you're really good at doing this, right, Frank? So you post your trades, and you can see that you're making people's yearly salaries in one trade, right?
Yes.
So the financial element is a really big drive. The freedom to do this from anywhere is a really big drive too. For me personally, I'd be lying if I didn't say that there's an element of ego-ness behind it, to say that I finally figured it out.
Yeah.
I did not let
But
go.
who do you want
and
to
I
say
got
that
there.
then? Was it a family member in the past or a friend that said they couldn't believe in you? Or is it just something you want to prove to yourself?
Myself, really, that I could do this, that it's achievable.
It's almost like an obligation, isn't it?
Well, I mean, and again, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, this, you know, I'm in this to change family trees, not just for myself. Like I've got 3 young boys. I've actually put together a document that I've sent out to other family members, and it's got your details, it's got Jamie's details, it's got links to your YouTubes, the link to TMU, and you know, guys, you want to do this? Here's the detail. You know, pass on to your kids. Pass this on to everybody, because this is how you change lives. This is how you change family trees.
Man, that's powerful.
Absolutely.
I love to hear that. And the fact that you have 3 boys as well, beautiful,
Yes.
man. How old are they?
12, 11, and 9.
That's amazing.
And they
Young
already say
still.
they want to be traders like Dad. And
I can imagine.
yeah.
Dad is back in the office behind the 6 screens. What's he doing?
Yeah, absolutely. They see me do a lot of this. It's quite interesting though, because kids, I mean, I think all kids are so on their devices, and they've got such quick dopamine hits that they need that, you know, realizing how much time and effort needs to go into something like this. You have to really dedicate yourself. So I really hope that they have the same drive that I have, because, you know, anyone that is successful out there, you have to have that drive. It doesn't come easy.
No, exactly. You need to just be like, I have this saying, if people around you aren't calling you crazy, you're either not on the right path or you're not working hard enough. And the fact, yes, that you just kept on moving forward, like I can only imagine what it must have been like. Did you have the support of a strong wife next to you, or?
My wife's been very supportive, very, very supportive. I mean, even a few years back, when I initially got introduced to ICT and I'm learning all these content and that, like our kids were a lot younger, very chaotic at home, and she took it all on board. She knew that I was trying to do something for the greater good. She knows my character and that I get very lost in what I'm trying to do. And she's been an absolute rock through all of this.
That's amazing to hear. Hats off to your wife for that.
Absolutely.
But man, oh man, Nico, like the fact that you're now at this level after such a long time, like I can only imagine where you're going to climb towards over the upcoming years. And I love that you mentioned as well that you're going to continue doing this until the day you die. That's powerful,
Absolutely,
man.
And you know what? I think we're all wired differently. I'm one of these people personally. I don't need much sleep. So I work sometimes until stupid o'clock in the morning, and then I'm up again at 7 to trade the German markets, the DAX. It's actually my favorite market to trade. And I can function a little sleep. The idea of retiring to me is just, it sounds crazy. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yes, there are
Sit still
elements
all
that
day.
free you up. Sit around all day. That does nothing for me. Like, I'll constantly be working and doing my thing, and just like it's never going to end. I don't know. I suppose in my mind, like I'm just hardwired to think that the day you retire is the day that you die.
Yeah. That's an amazing mindset to have, man. Because honestly, like, what else are you going to do indeed? Sit
And I
around at the
enjoy
beach
this.
all day, drink mocktails or whatever?
Look, it doesn't sound bad. I might do that in between the trades.
Ah, of course, have some time for yourself with the wife and kids. But, in general, the idea of
Driven.
retirement indeed, doesn't
Not for
exist
me.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Nico, where do you see yourself? Yes, let's say 1 year from now, 2026.
Oh.
What's a target that you have in mind?
So as I mentioned, I used to work in IT. I've earned decent salaries throughout the years. My target for 2026 is to be making what I was making a year every month at least. That's from a financial perspective.
And do you think you can achieve that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And
No
that's the
doubts in my mind.
confidence I recognize in you. What I've noticed, Nico, in our conversation is that when you say something, that you're going to do something, you're going to do it. Like, there's no doubt about it. Oh, I'm going to figure out this trading stuff. It might take me a very long time, but I'm going to do it. And look where you're at now.
Yep, indeed. And again, it's the way that I'm wired. I can't let go of things. So that is the target.
I think it's that IT mindset, isn't it? When you start a project, you're not going to stop, halfway through it.
You got to finish what you started. Absolutely.
Exactly. Sick. But honestly, Nico, super proud of the progress which I've seen in you over these past couple of years. Because like I mentioned, I remember you from day one. And I want to thank you as well for being there along the ride and actually investigating what I try to share publicly with the world.
Well, I'd like to thank you for everything that you've done for the trading community, and a very, very big thank you for TMU, man, because I think if I have got to sum it up in one sentence, and I'm sure you've probably heard a lot of people say this, right? TMU brings clarity.
Yeah.
The clarity of knowing where to engage is just, it takes all that anxiety that trading brings and it just wipes it away, because you know what you're looking for and you don't really get engage or get involved until you see that.
Exactly. It removes all ambiguity behind why the markets move the way that they move.
Correct.
And more importantly, when they move.
Yeah. Correct.
That's amazing to hear, man. Nico,
so, yeah, very big thank you to you.
No worries, brother. If you'd have to give one final piece of advice, yes, to a viewer listening to our conversation now, that might be at a stage within their trading journey where it feels like things are just not clicking, and it feels like they're just constantly moving forward without actually making any progress. What would that piece of advice be? Because I
Two
think
pieces.
you are the symbol of like perseverance, man, honestly.
Yeah, so I'd say two things. One, and I love this statement, a successful trader is a trader that refused to give up. So that, I think, sums up so much. It is such a powerful statement, right? The only time you really lose is the day that you quit, right? And the second piece of advice is, this is a complicated industry. It's difficult to trade, right? It's difficult to do this successfully. For anybody that wants to get a head start, join TMU. The information is great. The tools that you give us to do what we need to do are great. And it'll put you on the right path.
What an amazing piece of advice, man, honestly. I think, like, Nico, I think you should be super proud of yourself for how far you have come over these years. It's nearly been 2 decades. Do you realize that? Of you being in these
Crazy, I know.
markets.
Not far from, yes. 2 years short of 2 decades.
Exactly. Yeah. What a ride it has been, and it's only gonna get crazier from here, but now on a very positive scale, because now you have everything which you could ever need in order to just level up again and again.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
All right, amazing. What an amazing conversation, Nico, honestly. I'll just
Thanks, Frank.